Hi, my fellow screenwriting enthusiasts. It's Paul from Small Town Movie Critic. If you're new to the channel, we're all about helping you write that kick-ass screenplay by giving you tips, tools, inspiration, and of course, product reviews. Now, if you feel like this is the type of content that would be good for helping you with your screenwriting endeavors, please feel free to hit the subscribe button below. Now, as we do each and every week, I'd like to welcome all of our new subscribers. This week, I'd like to welcome Ori Prince and Ashes DQ. Welcome to the community. I wish you luck and inspiration in your future writing endeavors. Now, if you remember, if you haven't seen my last video, it was my 100 subscriber video. I laid out a contest for winning a free copy of Scrivener Free. And also, if you don't win that, I also have the ability for you to win a free coverage for your script done by myself. And you can find this all detailed in my 100 subscriber video, which you can find right up there. Now, I've decided to extend the contest to July 1st just because I haven't had a lot of people enter yet. So it's really easy to win. You just have to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and just leave me a comment of what kind of content you want. Really, really easy to do. So definitely check out that video and enter the contest. And this week, I'm starting a new segment titled Sagely Screenwriting Advice. And I'm really happy that my first guest for this week is Ben Johnson Jr., a screenwriter from South Africa. Ben has written several movies and as well as TV shows, and I will link his socials in the description as well as his IMDB profile as well too. Now, Ben's had a lot of an experience. He's a really hard worker and an all-around great guy. And I'm very grateful that he came onto the channel for this particular interview. Now today, Ben shares some of his thoughts on the difference between TV and film screenwriting and what you can do to help with getting yourself hired in screenwriting.
I'm just saying that there are courses that people can do, and just as somebody that does a lot of hiring here in South Africa, I don't know what it's like there, but you know, I don't really look for the university degree. There are a couple of things that I always look for. The one is really good samples, you know. So a lot of people they kind of want an opportunity, but the first thing I'm going to ask you for is to look at your writing. You know, so if people are serious about breaking in, you have to have something available. You've got to work on those samples, get them highly polished, and sometimes, like me, I come from an HR background, so I tend to do a little bit more of my due diligence when it comes to hiring people than maybe people normally do. But I always ask for things like I want to see an outline. I want to see maybe some bios that you've done, because if you're going to do that in television work for me, I need to know that you can do that. A script doesn't tell me that you can write a bio or you know how to outline, so I ask for those things anyway. You know, so if you have that, and then the other thing that's really important to me is that I'm very resolute about hiring the right kind of people, people that have good business habits, people that know how to communicate, people that can answer an email, you know, even if it's saying, look, received, because a lot of people, you know, they don't even do that, and that's annoying. You know, people that can work as a team, that's important. People that can take notes, can handle conflict and pressure. You know, those are the types of things that is really, because, and again, it also depends if you want to work in the film industry or the television industry. They're very, very different. And often I see a lot of advice on Twitter, very generalized advice, and I always wonder, like, but which part of the industry are you talking about? Because some of those things do not work in the television industry. That's very deadline driven, you know. You don't have the luxury of writing what you want to write. You write what you get told to write, because it's not your story. So it's all of those. You got to really, I always say to people, kind of really think about what you want to do. You know, take the time taken to think about where you want to be is not time wasted. You know, like really think about it and come up with a plan, and then work your plan, whatever that is. You know, I mean, you can always make adjustments later if it's not perfect, but at least have a plan, know where you want to be, you know, do your research, that kind of thing. So yeah.
So because you've done films and TV, what are some of the differences that you see?
Wow, it's you know, the thing is, okay, and even within film, there are categories, and what I mean by that is, like, I often get hired to write. So I don't often have the privilege writing my own ideas. Very seldom do I do that. I do it for pleasure, but I don't have the time. So often when I get brought in, people hire me to write their concept. The producer will hire me to write a concept. So there's a difference between that and trying to get your own concept off the ground, because you have far more freedom, obviously, if you're working with you. So there's a difference already. If you're talking about between film and television, it's massive, because television is a machine.
Mm-hmm.
Once that machine gets going, you either go with it or it spits you out. Now, I'm talking from a South African point of view, because I believe that in the States, I'm not an expert on everything, but the research that I've done there, the writers have far more time to be able to really work through story, create treatments, do all of those things. Here in South Africa, we have very little time, very little money. We work under a lot of pressure. So to give you an example, I mean, I know it's going to sound crazy, but I'll have a producer call me up, and say, look, we've got the funding to do a 13 or 26 part drama, or whatever the case may be. We want you to come on board, and the deadline to get the room going is like 2 months. So in those 2 months, I've got to create a series Bible. I've got to hire people. I've got to come up with schedules, budgets, all of those. So there's no time. It's a machine, So every week those drafts are going to be pushed out. They're going to be edited. So you've got to really think about that. It sounds glamorous, but I promise I work 16 to 18-hour days most days across weekends. And that's not because people say, oh, you're a workaholic. I'm like, if I don't do this, the machine stops. I've got to, this is what I have to do. And if you talk to any producer, they hardly sleep. They're up at like 2, 3 in the morning, because that's just the nature of it. So there's a massive difference. Whereas you're writing a feature film, you could have a year to write a feature film. Mm-hmm. You can take your time with it, and you just have so much freedom, because you're telling one story. It's limited to 90 or 100 minutes or 120 minutes or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of complexity, and it has its own challenges, because you now may have to get a lot of story into a little bit of real estate. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're writing a series, obviously you've got a lot of real estate to tell a story. So that's another difference. But I love both of them, because this is a bit cliche to say it, but film traditionally is a lot more visual, but not with the television we're seeing today. The kinds of shows they're putting on, they might as well be movies, because they've done so well. The budgets are now enormous, but it comes down to your personality. Really, that's what it comes down to. And even within television, writing drama is not the same thing as writing soapy. I mean, I've written telenovela, soapy, drama, sitcom. I've done all of those things. And like sitcom is daily. So we've got to push out 6 episodes a week. You've got to be ahead of the curve, 1 a day. Whereas your drama is a different story. I'm doing drama at the moment. I'm head writing a series, only 10 episodes. So we've got plenty of time. It feels like a little baby. Whereas the telenovela is 156 episodes. When I kick it off, the producers want to know at the beginning where the story is going. 156 episodes, 10 episodes is easy, So yeah, so those kinds of things, it's those kinds of things that you need to do your research on. You need to understand what the industry is really like on the inside. Yeah, and if that helps.
Yeah. Now, where would you suggest would be some good resources so people can do that type of research? I mean, is it you think just Googling it helps, or do you have certain websites or?
Look, there's a lot of ways of getting information, and most of it there are some veins of information that are generally accepted as this is standard throughout the industry, and there are other bits of information that are opinion. There are other bits of information that are local industry relevant, like the things I'm telling you now. They don't apply overseas. So there's that kind of distinction. With the advent of things like Clubhouse and all of these, you're meeting these people all the time. You can have a conversation with them. They're accessible. There's courses you can do through Roadmap and all of these other Stage 32 and all of these places that can teach you about the television industry or the film industry. If you're interested in being a filmmaker, you should be attending, conferences and Sundance and all of these things, and going to the workshops. I just do whatever I can to inform myself, and there is no one-stop shop for information. You need to really spread your net wide, get as much as you can, curate it yourself, ask questions. It's a task, but it's part of the responsibility of wanting to be involved in the industry, of sifting through the information, trying to learn. I mean, I'm doing that now. I mean, like I said, I'm now on my 16th show, but I still feel like I have so much to learn, especially about the overseas industry, the advent of streamers versus networks versus, I mean, how do you figure out where your content is meant to live? And which is all of that is you constantly learning, you constantly researching, trying to talk to people, trying to find people on the inside who will be willing to share the information with you. There was a nice workshop. I think it was on past Monday, by Screencraft. And they did a panel on writing action movies and what they're looking for currently in action movies. Those are the type of things that people need to be attending, taking notes on, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. Like I said, I think I know as for myself too, it's always sort of like what that next step is. I can always go out and buy, Sid Fields or any of these other books, but I think it's like what you're saying right now is it's also how do you start networking with other folks, go to that local film festival that you have, and do some of these other classes that are online. I think a lot of folks don't realize that they just think they just write the script and it just gets to whoever it needs to go to, and then it becomes a movie. And it's really like what you're saying. It's like finding the networking, and it takes money to do that too. You're not just going to have a free script writing software that you use and then turn out a movie and then it gets made. It's it's going to cost you some money to get there.
It's not gonna happen. I think there are a lot of people that are kind of still living in the glory days of Hollywood 25 years ago, where you could walk in to MGM or whoever, and here's a script, and oh, that's great, let's make it. Doesn't work like that. So what they've done now is they kind of shove the responsibility onto the filmmaker or the writer, whoever, to gather a basket of value before you come to them. So it's me, my script, I need a producer, I need a director, I need talent, I need some money on the table, I might need a pre-existing some kind of IP, maybe it was a book before, whatever. Now they want to talk to you. They want to talk to you, right? So, and that's what people don't understand. They're people very idealistic, exactly what you said. Oh, I wrote this great script. Why is nobody snapping it up? The wheels of this industry, and I'm talking about globally, they turn so slowly. I told you about that very first script that I wrote, and I'm talking about like 14 years ago, maybe. This week, in fact, tonight, I had an email from a producer who was interested again in that particular concept. 14 years later, I'd actually, I just pulled it out last month, and I can tell you story after story. I've got a show that I'm a producer on. I'm one of the producers. It's my first show that I will be a partner as a producer. So I'm looking forward to that. But we've been putting this deal together for 3 years. It's like 3 years we're working on this, and back and forth, and relationships, and then there's contracts, and we're not happy about this. Let's change that. These things take time, and I think a lot of people are impatient. I'm not disputing the fact that some people get in very quickly. Right. Absolutely. I've never been one of those people. It's always taken me a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance. I kind of just outlast the problems, and then, I finally find myself in something. And I think for the majority of us, that's what it is. It's like, You got to just be patient. And I can't emphasize this enough, that it's about relationships. It's not about the script. You can have the best script in the world, but if you are a nasty person, I won't touch you. It's about relationships. And despite what everybody says, people hire who they know or who has been recommended to them. I'm telling you, it's the truth. I've never, and I don't say this boastfully, but I've never had to go in the last 10 years and look for work. I've never had to. I have people emailing me, phoning me, saying, I heard this about you from so-and-so or so-and-so. And that's why I try and guard my reputation, be careful what I say, try not to be negative, try not to be pulling people down. And you gotta build your reputation. It takes a long time, and it takes one thing to destroy it. And yet everything hinges on that. So if there's anything I can leave with people, especially emerging writers or whatever, really work hard at building your credibility and your reputation, conduct yourself with integrity, and build those relationships. And the thing about it, and I see it, Twitter's a prime place to see this, that often people will kind of attract to a person that they feel is getting some lift, but there's people have a sense of whether you're coming to them simply because you want something. And nobody wants to be faced with that every single day, So be genuine and take an interest in people because you take an interest in people, build a relationship. Don't, you've just met somebody and you think, okay, that person's the answer now. They're the way in for me. Next minute you're DMing them, please read my script, I read scripts all the time, despite how busy I am, but you sometimes put a person in especially if you haven't even communicated with them in an open forum, it's like straight to DM. It's such a bad impression. It really is, because you're putting that person in a bad position now, and they've got to feel like rotten because they got to say no to you. And some people even have an attitude when you give them a no. So if there's something I can say to emerging writers, please don't do that. There are forums where you can meet people. The advent, as tough as the advent of COVID-19 has been and lockdown, it's opened up some doors. It's made people accessible. There are managers on Twitter that are asking for things to read. They're having these online social meetups, and sundowners and this and that, and you can actually go into a room and talk to people that you would never have access to. So that's the forum to ask your questions. That's the place, to whatever. So that, it sounds like a simple thing, but definitely the person that you are and the impression that you make and your reputation, it actually matters. It really, really does matter.
Well, thank you. I think that's one of the key things I think a lot of new writers don't know. So thank you, Ben, for mentioning that, because I think people are so, and the writing's important, but like you said before, if you're not a genuine person who, you actually care about other people, people are going to find out about that, and they're not going to want to work with you. So if you don't work well with others, that's going to be a barrier for you getting a job, even if you could be the best writer in the world. Yeah.
And people talk. The industry is small, so if you make somebody mad, they're going to tell other people. They're going to, and you're like closing doors that you haven't even walked up to yet. You're like closing them. So it's important. It's an important thing.
Well, thank you, Ben. There is more to this interview with Ben, and in a future video, I'll be sharing with you Ben's story about how he got to become a screenwriter, which I think, after listening to his story, I think he could make this into a movie himself. It's really pretty fascinating, and I can't wait to share that with you in a future video. Now, do you have a screenwriter you'd like me to ask some questions to, or what kind of questions would you like me to ask somebody else who's in the industry of screenwriting? Now, leave that comment in the comment section below. Now, my hope for you this week is that your writing goes well, or your rewriting goes well. I hope you're able to carve out some time so you can work on that next kick-ass screenplay, because only you can make that next blockbuster that will help people fall in love with storytelling like we do. Well, until the next video, keep writing and have a blessed day.